Okay, so part 3 of problem players discussion, which began with Acrelatize DMing 101 video. In this part, I assume you watched part 2 already, but here we're going to go into 3 more problem player types, and these have cropped up on the YouTube RPG discussions before, and they are the most well known, this unholy trio. But I think there's plenty of things to be discussed still, because all the time players have more and more new games, they meet more and more new players, and you know, experiences may vary. Who knows? Maybe you found an ingenious way of fixing some of these problems, but let's get started with the first one, and this is the rules lawyer. The person who knows the system and wants everyone to know that they do. This is not as bad as one might think, because this is the one type of problem player that can be harnessed for the common good of the group. This is the player that says, no, but on page so and so it says, and no, this says to the GM, like, no, this doesn't go this way. It clearly stays here and here. Okay, this type of interruption can be helpful and can be useful, especially if you're running a brand new game that even the game master has not run before. It's very helpful, in fact, in those cases. But when you've been playing for a while and everyone's gotten used to the system and this guy still keeps going at it, then it is a problem, because every time they interrupt, they slow down the game, and sometimes in ways where it's not necessary to know the exact rule. Here's the point: the game master's word is law. Not whatever it says in the books, not whatever you get from the dice. If the game master makes a ruling on the spot, adjudicates it, that's how it goes. And after the game, if this rules lawyer has a problem or wants to bring up some rules, that's fine. But don't constantly do it at the table. Now, the reason why you shouldn't just, constantly bring up this rule and that rule is because the GM is not lording over the group like, I decide, I am God. It's still the game that you've chosen as a group. But adjudication on the fly has to happen so that everyone's enjoyment is not impaired. If you just halt the game constantly to look up rules, you're not playing a role-playing game anymore. I don't know what you're playing at that point, but it's not fun for anyone, except maybe that one guy who has a hard-on for the rules. But like I said, this guy can be very useful if his wicked powers are harnessed for the good of the group. They can become, I think I said this in a text reply to one of was it Jonas's videos, Hammered. Harness that person to be the rules monkey, the rules gopher, that if the GM calls for a rule and they don't know it offhand, they can say to this player, like, hey, what was the rule again on X, Y, and Z, and get a response. That's perfect. and I'm lucky to have in both of my current gaming groups one of these guys who they know the rules very well, and if I'm not absolutely sure on something, I can just look to them and go, hey, was it like this? And they usually have an answer. And they learn not to constantly interrupt the flow. But yeah, rules lawyer is the least wicked of these three. The second is by far the worst, and that's the setting lawyer. This is the person who knows the people, the places, and the history of whatever established setting you're running. This is one of the reasons why I prefer to make my own campaign worlds and stuff like that. But yeah, in the old days when I used to run like Forgotten Realms, I came across this type of problem player, and this can be tricky because they're like, well, if you tell them, no, that's not how it is, then they might go off and say, well, why are we playing in this world anyway if you're not going to use it? And well, I've read in this and that book that this happened, and of course it just makes sense that this should be this way because Ed Greenwood wrote it and he knows, right? Well, no. To these kinds of players, I'd say it's not the writer's world. It isn't. It doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the game master and you, the players. If Elminster just runs around fixing problems and oh yeah, the symbol did this and the court of Cormier functions like this, and no, it's not fun to constantly travel on those same paths that Greenwood and others have already trod upon millions of times. Go off them, make your own way. This is how it has to happen so that the game will be actually enjoyable and that the player characters will have an impact on the campaign world, the setting. And for the setting lawyer to say that, oh, this is how it is over here, even when their character would have no such knowledge, that's especially egregious. And the game master has to be tough on this one. I have to say, no, well, first of all, your character doesn't have the appropriate knowledge, skills, since back in those days I ran a game that used a lot of knowledge, skills and everything. But yeah, you have to say, first off, your character doesn't know and wouldn't know, and second, I don't care what it says in this, that or the other book. Just listen to what I'm describing to you. It's enough. Make your own way. Don't expect familiar non-player characters to pop up constantly. Don't expect a certain culture to be the same way, the exact same way as it is in the books. And yeah, sometimes these types of people get really pissy about things that they know, and there's no easy fix to this one. If they don't agree, they probably shouldn't be playing at all, at least not in this game. But if you create your own campaign world, suddenly this problem vanishes. They have no prior knowledge, and what you say, just okay, yeah, they can accept that because they haven't read your erotic fan fiction on how Elminster bedded all 7 sisters or whatever nonsense. Anyway, third and final type, the power gamer. All about the mechanics. Now, first, I would ask, is this the only enjoyment that this player is getting out of the game? Are they there just to have no holds barred street fight with everything that happens to come their way. If it is, and that's the type of game you're running, wonderful. They fit in perfectly. If you're trying to run any kind of story that has more than just basically mindless barbarians running around, yeah, have a talk to this guy, because there's a problem by making a character that is immensely powerful in one area. First of all, in a usual game, all situations will not play up to his strengths. If he makes, like in D&D I saw this one guy make basically an enchanter that was had ungodly diplomacy skills and bluffing skills, and yeah, he could pretty much by the rules sweet talk anyone, even a hostile creature, and all this stuff. But it didn't work in some encounters where there were undead or mindless creatures or anything, and he complained. And, oh, you're just doing this because I'm too powerful. And I was like, no, but you over-specialized, that is, your character. You made it, and in some cases you have to pay for it. Now, if they make a combat monkey, a character that is incredibly powerful, this has an adverse effect on the rest of the group. Because in most systems, like all versions of D&D, if one character is immensely powerful and you try to give an equally powerful opponent to that one guy, then guess what? You can't make them taste their own medicine, because the bystanders, the innocent bystanders, all the other players and their characters, they get hurt. This same monster that was just supposed to challenge this one guy, this power gamer, it runs rampant on the rest of the group, most likely, unless it's like a cage match, but then, you know, those are not that common. The power gamer has to be told that it's not enough to make a mechanical god, like out of the rules, to win the game. There's no winning on that front. Anything they can do, anything they can create by the rules, can be easily trumped by the game master, because the game master is not bound by the rules. The game master adjudicates all, and you can't win against that. You've agreed to play a certain game, but if you abuse the rules, which is what power gamers most often do, I mean, this is different from min-maxing. Like, minimizing and maximizing is where you minimize flaws and maximize advantages. But a power gamer will go to those places where the rules are hazy, and they will take full advantage of those, like, little holes in the rules. And I would say that the power gamer has to be told that their character is going to make things more difficult to everyone else's characters, most likely. Even if they don't make the combat monkey, if they make another type of specialist, and if they start to break the game, you as the GM have to intervene at some point. Say, okay, either you say this has gone on too far, or you just say, maybe this isn't the game for you. I mean, it's supposed to be good-natured role-playing, even if the story is combat heavy or something. It's okay to try and make a strong character, but when you go over that line of basically good taste, yeah, the GM has to pull back. However, at the end here I would say that don't penalize the player or the character too much, even if they make mistakes or these sorts of create these sorts of problems. Just let them know that there is a problem and see if they do something about it the next time. If they don't, then go back and say, okay, I can see that it's not working, what can we do about this? And give them some options, for heaven's sake. Don't just say, okay, it's my way or the highway. That's never going to work. And if it works, you're still going to have a problem at the table. Anyway, something to think about. And if you've had some of these experiences, like I said in the last video, please respond and maybe give some ideas of your own how to solve it, and maybe bring up some other types of problem players or players you've seen develop into a problem or out of being a problem on their own. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Bye.